الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Imam Muslim collected in his Sahih on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا تحاسدوا ولا تناجسوا ولا تباغضوا ولا تدابروا. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do not envy one another. ولا تناجسوا, do not inflate prices by overbidding over one another. This is when it comes to business transactions. وَلَا تَبَاغَضُوا, and do not hate one another. وَلَا تَدَابَرُوا, and do not harbor malice against one another. وَلَا يَبِعْ بَعْضُكُمْ عَلَى بَيْعِ بَعْضٍ, and do not enter into transactions when others have already entered into that transaction to make it difficult for them, which is in a sense same advice in regards to tanajus, and that is to overbid, and you enter into transaction to create competition for the sake of harming, subhanallah. He says sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَكُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا, instead be slaves of Allah. In other words, and the Prophet ﷺ continues in the same advice in regards to a Muslim is nothing but a Muslim to his brother, cannot be but a brother to his Muslim. That's the only relationship you have with another Muslim, is you cannot be but a brother to him. If you have the brotherhood through lineage and blood, that's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gifted you with. But you also have the brotherhood that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you through faith. That's the religion. You cannot be but a brother to your fellow Muslim. And he says sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you don't transgress, you do not diss or treat another Muslim with contempt, and he says sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you do not disappoint and harm. And then he says al-imanu hahuna, and he points to his chest alayhi salatu wasalam, that true belief is what resides in here. In other words, the mafhum al-mukhalafa, if you were to reverse the meanings that the Prophet ﷺ mentions in all of this, no matter what claim we make, our actions speak exactly of what we really have inside. We can justify whatever it is that we want to justify about our actions, that's not what I meant, that's not what I believe, and that's not, but actions speak louder than words. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ is calling us to. Always be very meticulous about your actions, and do not allow your actions to veer off of the belief in of itself. The belief system needs to be based on no harm harbored, no malice, no harmful transactions against one another. Look at subhanallah, because when it comes to the areas of relationships that people have with one another, they usually involve either family or friendship relationships, or business transactions, business friendships. And these two areas are covered by the Prophet ﷺ giving you directives as to how you treat both, how you carry yourself, how you handle your relationships with people on these two levels. Key to it is, he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let it be that your departing platform is your iman. What is it that you allow in your iman? Al-iman, al-taqwa ha huna, righteousness and piety is here, is in the heart, is in your belief system, not what you might claim. You claim one thing and you do a whole different thing. You know that taqwa needs to be translated and it needs to manifest in your behavior, whether that is in business deals or in, and subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it as a test for us, that we are tested on the level of our of how we go about making a living, or we're tested when it comes to our relationships, whether that is family ties directly, the bloodline, the lineage, or friends and acquaintances and people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in your path as people that you come across in your lifeline, in your lifetime. And in either cases, your resource and fall back to is actually your taqwa, your iman. And what the taqwa means is whatever the behavior is called for, it needs to be stemming from mindfulness of Allah, and you wanted the reward from nobody but from Allah. If that's always the intention, then you're transactional, you become very transactional as to everything that is pleasing to Allah is exactly what you will do, not the whims and the desires. And in that case, you will never go wrong, subhanAllah, because then you will get the directives from Allah, and Allah's directions for you can never mislead you, can never get you in any trouble. You get harmed, you get tested, and you get pain along the way from circumstances, from people, from realities. But it is literally a pain that is worthwhile, because it happened while you are being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and hence the reward. The harder is the test and more painful is the experience, more is the reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, Ya Rasulullah, when he was in that excruciating pain as he was dying alayhi salatu wasalam, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud came in to see him, and he saw how painful that was, and he says, Ya Rasulullah, I see that you are in so much pain. He says, my pain is, if it were to be divided among two men, it will knock them down. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he says, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he says, is it because you will get the reward twice the reward? And he says, yes. He says, in different circumstances, he says, يُبْتَلَى الْمَرْءُ عَلَى قَدْرِ إِيمَانِهِ, that a person is going to be tested, and the intensity of the pain and the harsh experience that a person will be enduring is based on and proportioned based on the level of that person's iman. So sometimes you find yourself going through something that is extremely beyond your capacity, but it is not beyond your capacity. Allah Ta'ala pushes it exactly to the proportion that is in line with your level of iman. And if that intense proportion given to you were to be given to somebody else who is less of iman than you do, that person will be destroyed, or the other way around. If you were to be taken the intense realities of those who are higher than you in iman, you would be in so much trouble, subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna kulla shay'in khalaqnahu biqadar, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it as a rule of thumb that everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees, He decreed with such accurate proportion. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who are to hear this speech, they follow the best of it. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين.